What have we got here? Dear YouTube, well, I guess that's you guys. Here are some tips and tricks to get better at Paladins. Love, Baggins. See what it says, I guess. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Baggins here, and today, as you saw from the start, we're going to be going over some Paladins tips and tricks to help you get better at the game. Whether you're new, just coming in for the first time, or you're a returning player coming back from a long time absence like myself, I wanted to give you guys a few tips and tricks, a few pointers in how you can improve your game, win more, get better rank, just generally be better at Paladins. For those of you brand new to Paladins, you may not be familiar, but there is a loadout system within each character. So going into the character select screen, if we choose Victor, for example, we can see he has a bunch of different loadouts here available that we can customize to how we would like to play Victor. Now the problem is, if you're brand new to the game, it's pretty daunting to know, like, what should I actually go for? Some things are probably a given, like having extra health, that's always good, but knowing, do you want reduced cooldown on your grenades? Do you want to be able to do extra movement speed while you're aiming down sights? Like, what are the important things? And one thing that we can do here to help is to search by name for other players that we know are good at the game. So for instance, one of my longtime friends and one of my favorite pros in the game, Bonka, plays the game, as I mentioned, professionally, so I know he's probably going to have pretty good loadouts for most characters. So if we search Bonka, we can see he has a couple different loadouts available here, and we can just import those and take them for ourselves. Now the problem lies here that you have to know the name of a player. You can take a look at my loadouts by just searching for BagginsTV, as you're seeing here on the screen. But if you'd like to get a more general idea of like what is a good build, a good loadout for a character, I would recommend going to Paladins.guru. On Paladins.guru, you can go to the build section, and from here select any character you want, and you'll be able to see a bunch of different builds, including what professional players are using for the character at the time. Now, the problem with this is it does rely on some pro games being played. I think they're taken from tournaments, games that have actually happened and been broadcast, you know, professional games. So if one hasn't happened yet, and since we now are at the start of a new season, there may not have been any pro games played yet, these builds might be out of date. But what you can also do is scroll down and take a look at the popular build amongst the whole of the Paladins population right now, and it can give you a general idea as to what most people are picking. Now the problem is here, it doesn't really give you any idea as to what talent you want to choose. There is a section somewhere on that page that, you know, it does say like 54% of the people use this talent, and then the other percentage and another percentage, but that doesn't always give you the information that you want to know. Like this build, which talent does it specifically go with? And to that front, I would recommend another channel called Paladins Competitive here on YouTube. Now they're not a sponsor, I have no affiliation with them, I don't know who runs the channel, and I don't necessarily know ethically or morally whether they have the permission to re-upload this content on their own channel, but they do it, and I find it pretty useful for myself when I'm learning to play a new character. I want to build for that character, as at the start of the game they show everybody's talents in that match, and they show all of their loadouts as well, which cards they're running and what level they've put them to. Now a good majority of games uploaded to this channel are high ranked games, people who play the game at the highest skill possible, and as a result you know their loadout and their talents are going to be pretty good. So just a quick little recommendation there for you guys looking to build your loadouts, what talents you should go for, how do I know what's right. 1, if you know a player, you can search by their name. 2, go to Paladins.guru, look and see what the pros are using. And 3, if you want to get the full picture, you want to see the talents, the loadout, and how it's being used in a game, Paladins Competitive. I'll put a link to it and all this other stuff in the description down below. But if you have any other specific questions regarding loadouts, builds, or anything else like that, I do stream almost every single day on Twitch. Links in the description down below if you want to come ask me in person. I'll try my best to answer your guys' questions. Now, my second tip for this video involves aiming. I get a few people asking, Baggins, how did you get good at aiming? How do you practice aiming? And whilst originally this wasn't what I was doing because it wasn't in the game, I've seen this feature added since I last played Paladins and coming back into it, and I think it's a great thing that not necessarily everybody knows about, so I'd like to recommend it to you guys. If you go to the aim training range within Paladins itself, as you can see me going through the menu here, you can choose any character you want and hop up to the top level, stand inside the circle where the target is, and a bunch of targets will appear in the air for you. Now, this isn't going to be useful for every single character. If you're playing somebody like Fernando or Terminus, you're not really going to get too much benefit of popping targets up in the air. There's not really too much to be gained from trying to practice aim with those characters. But if you are playing somebody like Victor, Androxus, Leanne, Cassie, characters like that, this can be pretty invaluable for helping you improve your aim. Now, you can get more than just the stationary targets. Every time you step in and out of the circle, a different sort of arrangement of targets appear. So the initial one is stationary, going from left to right, so horizontal movement. Then you have vertical movement going up and down, and then finally horizontal and vertical, where the targets are going all over the place. Now, there are two different things you can do here. Obviously, one is just shooting the targets, but the second one I would recommend, especially with characters like Victor, is to keep your crosshair on the target without shooting it and just try and track it through the air. Doing something like this for even just 10 minutes every day will probably see you gain an improvement in aim over a reasonable period of time. Say you do this for 2 to 3 weeks every time before you jump into a ranked match, and you'll probably see some improvement. I used to do this in Overwatch. I also did it in Paladins before I would play ranked, albeit not actually within the game. I had to use a third-party program because this, as I said, wasn't actually in Paladins back in the time. But I do think that I've seen people in my Twitch chat, I've seen people asking me, and they didn't even know that this existed in the aim training range. So I just thought I'd point that out to you guys. Obviously, if you already know, that's not going to be the most useful tip. But for those of you who don't know, aim training range, up on the top floor, you do have the target area where you can practice shooting. My next tip after this one is a little bit more generalized and maybe a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I think it still is very important to the new player to know the power of this trick, and that is to buy Cauterize. I've been in multiple matches today and yesterday doing my placements on a fresh account, and also back when I was in Gamescom last year, we had a little mini Paladins tournament with the Discord guys, and it became apparent to me that so few people knew about the power of Cauterize. So when you're at the spawn about to start a match, or you're in between rounds respawning, like specific to Siege, you can press I or this button on the controller, and that will bring up the menu where you can spend your credits to buy different cards which affect your character for that specific game. Now, one of the cards I recommend the most is the one that I just talked about, Cauterize. And the reason why Cauterize is so powerful is because of supports. Without Cauterize, I have seen people just shoot at tanks damages over and over and over again without being able to get them down, getting frustrated, not really understanding why this is happening, and blaming their own healer for not being able to heal as much as the enemy healer, when it turns out that the enemy team have Cauterize and our team doesn't. And that's the reason why we are losing those fights, because we are getting our healing reduced, whereas we're doing nothing to reduce the healing on the enemy. As you can see from this clip here, with a solid healer, something like a Ying or a Ceres, you can keep a target up for a very long time, even though it's taking continuous damage from a specific damage character. So buying Cauterize, something that I think is very important. Do not undervalue this. I know this sounds like such a basic tip, and those of you who've been playing Paladins for a little while might be saying like, really, Baggins, buy Cauterize? Is that really what this video is about? Obviously, it's a little bit more than that. This is probably my most simplistic tip, but still to this day, I see many teams in games just straight up refusing to buy Cauterize as they don't think it does anything, or it's not immediately obvious how impactful it could be on the game. Now finally, my last couple tips here, a little bit more generalized again, and something that probably a few of you already do, especially since you're watching this video, but that is to watch other players. I think there's so much that can be gained from watching other good players of Paladins and comparing their gameplay to yours. Specific to me and on Twitch, I see a bunch of other great streamers and great players that are online almost every single day that I can always hop in and see how they're performing, see what they're doing in particular characters with particular maps, and just how they are able to be more effective than me, and then trying to copy that gameplay in my own style. So I've put a link to my stream and a bunch of other great players' streams in the description down below. They're live almost every single day. If one of us isn't live, there's a good chance another one will be. So if you want to go ask any specific questions, or you just want to see what some good gameplay looks like, feel free to check out those links. As I say, there's so much to be gained from just watching and learning and applying what that person's doing to your own gameplay. And if you can't figure out why they're doing that particular thing, like why did they make that play, just ask. You'll be surprised how responsive the Paladins community is and its players to just trying to help out players. Now, last tip here for the video. I wasn't really sure whether to include this one, but I thought I'd do it anyway because again, I think it's not something that everybody knows about, but if you are trying to climb out of bronze, silver, gold, even platinum, I would recommend that when you play ranked, don't queue with any more than 2 to 3 people. queuing as a 4 or 5 stack can be pretty damaging to your game's matchmaking. I saw just last week a professional Paladins player, CusQT, complaining that he was playing against a 5 stack of silver players whilst he plays at a masters/grandmasters level, and multiple people on his team were also masters, diamond, grandmasters. The reason behind this is Paladins thinks that when you have a 5 stack, you're going to be highly coordinated and you should be able to play much better than a group of solo players. However, if those solo players are incredibly skilled at the game, they'll just have natural innate teamwork and just be obviously really good as well. So if you are looking to go up in rank and you're looking to do it seriously, obviously if you're having fun, it's a separate, you do you. But if you are looking to climb in rank, don't go with a 5 stack. 3 at most is what I would recommend. And obviously when you get to diamond anyway, you can only queue with 2. So at some point you got to think about potting that fellowship and who you're gonna duo with. So there we go, guys. That's my tips and tricks of Paladins. Maybe a little bit basic, but I think some of the stuff that I talk about, not everybody's aware of. Paladins.guru, the target practice within the actual game itself. I've seen a few people in chat say like, wow, I have no idea this was the thing, Baggins. So I just thought I'd share it with you guys on YouTube, where I can get it to much more people in a much faster time than I would do just saying it in Twitch chat over and over again. But as I say, if you do have any specific questions, guys, if you have anything extra from what we covered here and you would like to know about it, feel free to check me out on Twitch. I'm live almost every day. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and click that like button. Subscribe if you want more content from me. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Oh, emoji again? Are you kidding me? Emoji's behind.
Yeah, I see ya. Eat a frickin' biscuit!
I'm not surprised.